Hi, guys, parents, learners, grandparents, anybody who is listening to this Facebook Live session. I'm Dr. Melanie Jacobs. I'm the head of content of the dorkk platform, and I've got a guest today in the studio, Colleen Lambert. Colleen, won't you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Colleen. I represent a company called Mindscape Education, and we work in the distance learning and homeschooling space. Thank you so much, Melanie, for having me today.
Okay, so I've got about 40 years of experience in the teaching fraternity. I've done school teaching, I've been at the university for quite a while, and I'm currently a retired university lecturer running extra classes. And Colleen is in the space of homeschooling. And both of us will be using and are using the dorkk platform. Now, specifically in homeschooling, Colleen, how would you suggest that we use dorkk as an online support system?
Well, firstly, I must tell you, it's been probably a few years that we have been looking for something as diverse as dorkk is, specifically in the homeschooling sector. We found a lot of platforms that are online teaching platforms, but they work according to a schedule and according to a timetable. And the thing about homeschooling is it is on your own time, at your own pace, and dorkk is fantastic at that. It has pre-recorded lessons. So we're going to talk a bit today about how we currently use it. And I'll say we, but a range of schools that we provide our curriculum to, teachers who are using it in the classroom for remedial benefits for learners, as well as just other methodologies that have not been explored yet. But dorkk is a great platform for the diversity that's needed in homeschooling.
Excellent that Colleen actually shares that experience with us. Now, what we did when we started planning and really investigating how we want to do dorkk is firstly to have a very good studio. The sound quality and the recordings quality, we needed to have the best quality. Otherwise, we know a kid will sit at home and it will be either a face or just a screen. And I think the variety that we have, Colleen, is actually what's the reality. It's like a teacher standing in front of you, actually engaging every student behind the screen to get active, to sit and write, and to actually take their own notes.
Absolutely. And you know, a flipped classroom has been something that has been an ideal in schools, but not something that is quite easily practiced. A flipped classroom meaning that we can teach something and give our learners something to go and do at home before we teach the next lesson. Now, ideally, I work with teenagers, and we all know that is a whole different group of students to work with. And getting them to do things after hours is quite a challenge.
Yes.
Particularly up to now, where we've said flipped classroom is you go home and you read the textbook, and we're going to do this chapter tomorrow, and we want you to prepare for it. I don't know about you, but that's never worked in our classrooms. Nobody wants to go do things before they actually have to do it. But I found with dorkk being videos, the kids are much more inclined to go and watch the videos before the lesson the next day. And it makes the teacher's life so much easier because I can say we're going to do probability tomorrow, and I want you to watch the videos 1 and 2 and really designate. And that's the thing I also like about dorkk is that the curriculum is so nicely set up, and the videos, there must have been a really clever person behind it, right? The development person who's actually structured the videos according to the curriculum. So it makes it so much easier for the learners to go and find the videos, watch it, because we know that this day and age, we're dealing with kids who are on phones and kids who are the earphone generation, and they go and watch the videos. The next day they come into the classroom, they already have 40% knowledge. And that is such an amazing tool for a teacher, because now you're not teaching the very basics, you're actually just discussing what they already know and then really going into the creativity of how they should apply that knowledge. So I found flipped classroom for the first time in my years of teaching. Thank you, dorkk, has worked.
Yes, I have to say, I'm also using it when I teach extra lessons. And the fact that the child engages, or the student, because I've got adult students as well, engage with the content first on their own time, in their own environment, and obviously they can have a look at it once or twice. They then have to assimilate the content and make it some or other picture. When they get into class, they firstly have some knowledge or have heard of some terminology or have the bigger picture. And the teacher can actually then spend time on the challenging parts of the content, or the places where they really want to focus or actually enlighten something. And that makes your time allocation in a classroom very, very focused, and you're not repeating the things that we actually rely on students to be able to do on themselves. What we actually found is that when I taught at the university, it was very obvious that lecturers expected students to read through the content before they get into class. Now, reading has never been the most favored and interesting part-time activity that anybody does. So to expect them to read is one thing, but we now find if they watch a video, which is obviously digital and more in their space of activities, and it's relaxed. And can I tell you, the teachers that we have has got more than 400-500 years. If we actually add all the teachers together, we've got experience where they say, let's do this lesson first, and then we go that way. It's not always according to textbooks. It's according to the curriculum, yes, and as you said, it's easy, but we have all that experience where they actually layer and scaffold the content into a very, very meaningful learning activity.
Absolutely. So flipped classroom is definitely something we've seen working really well with dorkk. The other thing that we found is when there is a teacher absent. And normally we would go running around trying to find sub-teachers, and kids love that. But that is now a thing of the past, because now you have dorkk, you have a TV in the classroom, and you can now put that up, and now we no longer need to supplement a lesson. So we have that option as well. So I found that was quite a relief. A lot of the homeschool moms have actually said they themselves have found to be under pressure to know all the content. And we must be honest, as a teacher, Melanie, you're a teacher, to teach every single subject to a child, perhaps you have a homeschooled kid of grade 11, it's impossible.
Yeah, it's a challenge. We know where homeschool started from. And we know that in many cases, not all cases, it is parents sitting in areas further from from schools or in a church ground, and we know they don't have the expertise for everything. Just like any teacher in a school,
yes,
if you teach history, that's your subject. You're not able to teach English. And I do find the fact that with COVID and the things happening in all schools, that there will be teachers that's not on their position in a certain time span. And for the first time now, kids can actually get schooling what they pay for.
Yes.
Because there's always a teacher. There's nobody absent
no
ever.
Downtime, which is great. The other thing that we've been using dorkk for is revision. And I found that this has probably been the most impactful platform that has been able to help kids in not only just studying for exams, but really going over things that they didn't understand in class. Maths is probably the prime example of, you could teach me something and I don't get it.
Yeah, the first time.
Yes. And then I go and watch it. Somebody else has taught it. And now, in fact, one mom phoned me this week and she said, I've been teaching my child probability, and I think I'm a fairly good teacher. But he says he doesn't understand me. So I go and I put him onto the platform and I say to him, please go watch this video. And he comes back to me while I'm cooking and he says, why didn't you just teach it to me like that in the first place? So having that dual concept of I have a teacher, but being able to go watch it from a different point of view, especially in maths. Same concept being taught different ways is definitely a plus. And then some kids have come to us and said, I realized that when I was studying, my problem wasn't actually the content of this year. My problem was that I lacked the content of the previous year.
Fundamentals.
And we're seeing that from COVID, right? We're seeing that kids were in online teaching. Perhaps they didn't take it as seriously and they're now missing those basics. And the thing that I love about dorkk is being able to go back.
Yes.
Going back to a different grade.
And if Colleen says going back, it means the grade 10 content, the grade 11 content is available without an extra expense for the grade 12 learner. And as a matter of fact, they can go back to grade 1.
Yes.
So it is really getting all the fundamentals into place where you can understand grade 10 physical sciences, go back to grade 8, go back to grade 9, and see where did we start with the periodic table? Where did we start with ions and atoms? And especially with subjects that lead onto each other. And what we do find, and I've known it for years, teachers expect students to know something already. And I can share this with you. I've taught at the university a Friday and a Monday class for selected students. And when I got into a class on a Monday, my 70 students didn't have any idea what I did the Friday.
Sure.
Now, these were third-year students. So I do think teachers and we as parents, we expect them, if we said once, what do you say, thank you and please, that they'll listen. They do not do that.
And it's all about repetition.
It's exactly. And I think the dorkk platform really is providing an excellent way that you can go back and revisit and have a look at it again and just go and catch up. And even when you do a prep for an exam or a test, you can actually go and have a look.
Absolutely. A lot of the matrics are sitting now, they'll end the effective years teaching from the end of August, and then they're on their own for prelims. And then what they have in front of them is no teacher, a pack of past papers, and now, what? Do I start from the very beginning of the textbook and go and study all of that? And particularly last year, we had a lot of matrics who said, well, what do I do now? You're leaving me to my own devices and I'm supposed to study. And that's where dorkk came in really well, because especially for the accounting kids.
Yes.
The accounting students were really going, well, I can't remember what you taught. And I said, NSC is a 3-year program. You need to remember what we taught you in grade 10.
Yes.
And so that ability to go back to those videos and say, what is a trial balance? What is a balance sheet? And I must tell you, just between the two of us and everybody's watching, the teaching on dorkk is old school teaching.
Yeah,
sorry, guys. So valuable. It is so valuable.
It is.
Because it is those old school teachers who really know how to go into things and give examples. Whereas us in the classroom, it's so rushed nowadays. You've got so much content to cover, and parents who are homeschooling are touching on things and figuring out that they need to move on. So going back to that old school way of teaching and having the freedom to watch a video and rewatch it and watch it for 20 minutes if you want to, it's really world class. And as far as I know, and I do a lot of homework, there is no other platform like this, because everything else is based on a live lesson, a schedule, a timetable, and homeschoolers don't stick to timetables.
Yeah,
they want to do things at their own pace. So so it's been quite an eye-opening, and I'm pretty excited for education if this is where it's going to, and I'm excited for the new things that are coming to dorkk. Including even robotics, the robotics program,
the coding and robotics.
Yes, one of the teachers who works in a small school in Dinnerking or Musina, and she actually said to us that robotics was something that they could never offer before, because it always seemed like such an expensive program to have, and it came with Lego and it came with a whole bunch of components that they just couldn't ask their rural kids to take part in. And now they have this robotics program that doesn't take anything. It's just applying their knowledge. And they're learning how to make games out of the lessons on the robotics platform. So that is also super exciting and accessible to everybody. And I think that's where we should be.
Yeah, and if you say the teacher is also actually having a benefit. I had a colleague who worked with me at the school. And when I left, she sat and she got a next grade to teach. And she came home and she asked, and I said, if I teach this, I do this and that. And about a few weeks ago, I said to her, why don't you go and have a look at dorkk? And this week I got this WhatsApp saying, it is fantastic. It is easier. As if I'm sitting in a class watching, and I can watch it again. And the way the questions are discussed, answering exam questions, how will it be asked in an exam? It's also helping teachers. And I think we can, in service training, help teachers, help parents to see how to teach. The methodology. And as you said, yes, it's old school, but there's a lot of things in teaching that just has to be old school.
And when I say old school, one of the teachers said to me, I think it was the end of last year, he said to me, I've been teaching math for 15 years. And because I teach it every year, I understand the contents. And my teaching is somewhat gets a little bit lazy because
Yes.
I now,
Been there,
because
done
I've been,
that,
yes,
yeah.
I've been saying it for so long, I kind of leave out little parts. And he says, I went and watched the dork videos and I realized I've actually been doing these kids a disservice because there is fundamentals in there that is part of our old school training and teaching that needs to come in.
Yeah.
So for the teachers as well, it's a bit of a learning platform.
Yes. And again, 149 Rand a month. It's less than a cup of coffee, or even coming to my house asking me to help you and bringing me a bottle of wine. So that's really, it's affordable. It can help schools in terms of teachers, but definitely, as you said, when there's teachers absent, or even if you just want the whole group to come into one venue and have a look for
Like a
revision
workshop
or as an introduction. It's cheap, it's excellent, it's value for money, and I really think we are helping kids out there. And I think parents can. What about giving another family or a person that you know or a grandchild a voucher for Christmas or for Easter, for anything? It's so cheap.
Yes, absolutely. And that statement of the gift of education.
That it is.
What did a gift? 150 Rand a month? I think my pizza on a Friday is more than that.
It certainly is. And let
I
me
think
tell
it
you,
might
two
replace us one day.
cappuccinos is almost more than that. So this is really lifelong investment in a very, very quality driven experience that kids will have.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Anything else from your side, Colleen?
No, I'm excited to see where dork goes, and I think I see there's lots of partnership coming on board, and for us as Mindscape pairing up with you guys, it has given us a 360 kind of education platform. It was never something that we wanted to go into doing teaching, but we provide the assessments, we provide the accreditation. It now is coupled up with amazing teaching, and parents are using it around the country, and that's exactly what we wanted.
Yeah, so I think the important thing is also we are not substituting a teacher. Yes, we can when there is a teacher absent, sick today, or busy with something else. But it's important to know that we still rely on primary teaching being done by a teacher. But if the teacher is not at ease with the content, they can obviously have a look at this. And this flipped classroom, which is the word in methodology and teaching today, it's taken South Africa quite a long time because it's been going all over the world. But I think dork is leading and putting it into place that you can have a look at this, see what's going on, get into a class and have knowledge, what you want to ask, what you don't know, and just ask, how will this be asked? And I think teachers will then engage with another level when they teach in a normal school.
Absolutely. And application of knowledge is so important. So if kids are already coming to the classroom with 30% of the knowledge, you're then not delivering content just by reading the textbook. You really then are having a conversation. And that's what is the best way of learning is when we can really talk about it. I know math is a little bit more difficult. Physics is a bit more difficult. But in the subjects like business and languages, that is how the best teaching happens, is when there's a topic and the kids understand the topic and we can now talk about it. So
and I can say, because I went through the whole dork platform, we've got variety there as well. For instance, the mathematics. We've got 15, 16 people teaching mathematics. Grade 1 is a different person to grade 2. And as we go on to the FET phase, grade 10, 11, and 12, we've got 7 people who each teach their speciality, where they feel comfortable, where they can share their knowledge, which makes it very nice. Mostly kids in a smaller school will have the same teacher in grade 10, the same teacher in grade 11, the same teacher in grade 12. And I know they get bored and they don't like them, or I want to be in that teacher's class. And here you've got variety. And I think it's also good for young people to see that there's different ways to learn and to teach, and how I listen, and the approaches and the techniques that people use.
And we're engaging on a platform that kids are so fundamentally good at, which is their cell phones.
Yes.
How can you lose?
Okay, Colleen, if there's anything else you want to share with parents in your parent body in Mindscape?
No, I think that's it. I mean, we're super blessed. We've got students all over the country doing homeschooling and taking part in lessons, whichever format that is, whether it's a mom sitting next to them or it's a tutor or a teacher. To have this additional resource that they can couple their education with is just, it's 100% what we wanted.
Yeah.
So
And to
thank you.
parents out there, if you ever hear the word blended learning, this is what it is. We are blending digital visual learning with a person in front, and we expect them to sit and write, have a textbook, have a past paper with them. So they really engage in their own handwriting. It's not notes, it's not visual brain maps and stuff like that. It's really teaching, fundamental teaching from the start of a subject and a theme up to where they actually have to give the exam paper a go, and we actually show them how it will be marked, how it will be assessed. So from our side, bye-bye. We hope that you really enjoyed having a look inside the dorkk factory. And if there's any questions, we've got a website, we've got Facebook, we've got Twitter, and we're sending out a TikTok now and then a nice video. So we're really active, and we really want to have and help all of you in this coming year.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you
So much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.